All right. Hello, everyone, and thank you all for joining us during the Lytham Partners Fall 2025 Investor Conference. Again, my name is Robert Blum, Managing Partner at Lytham, and today I'll be moderating a Q&A discussion with Giulio Bonazzi, the Chief Executive Officer of Aquafil. As a reminder, Aquafil trades under the ticker ECNLF in the US and ECNL on the Milan Stock Exchange. All right, let's get started. Mr. Bonazzi, welcome.
Thank you, Robert, and thank you for having me.
Fantastic. Always great to have you back here. I want to sort of really gear this presentation, maybe some of those that have not heard the story before. So, provide an overview of Aquafil's core product portfolio. Talk about the role ECONYL plays in your sustainable offerings and really how it differentiates from traditional nylon products.
Thank you, Robert. Aquafil's core product portfolio is centered on the production of synthetic fibers and polymers, but with a strong focus on circular solutions. The company's main product lines are carpet yarns, and they are about 72 to 73% of the revenues of the company. And textile yarns, which they represent around 16%, and the remaining 11-12% is polymer and engineering polymer for injection molding business. ECONYL is our flagship product and is a nylon which is fully coming from waste, pre and post-consumer, and is using a proprietary technology which is called depolymerization. So we take back waste that we collect or buy all over the world. We bring them back to Europe. We return to one step back in the chemical chain, and we produce monomers and polymers, again, that are exactly identical of the one coming from petroleum raw materials.
Talk about with the circular sort of focus that you have, talk about how you ensure the quality and as well as the traceability of your products, especially those that are derived from sources like fishing nets and carpet waste, for instance.
Yes, of course, passing through our system, so the ECONYL regeneration system, we have a total control of what is going through. On top of that, you have to know that being in Europe, bureaucracy is not a small issue. So you have to take notice of every waste that we are buying, that we are storing into our warehouse, and that is going into our system. And then, of course, we control where the customers are applying our ingredients, our products, whether they are in the forms of fibers or in the form of polymer. And this is, of course, making us very safe and sure of what we have done and what the customers are doing.
And remind us, current percentage of revenue that comes from recycled products is more than 50% now, correct?
Yes, we started this journey back in 2011. Please remember that Aquafil is the largest nylon fiber company in Europe. So we are, of course, small in comparison with the big Chinese, but indeed, for the Western companies, we are among the largest one. And today we have reached a remarkable 60% of our consolidated revenues of the fiber part of our portfolio. So as you can understand, it's almost or a little more than 100 million pounds per year of ECONYL products that are being sold to the market currently.
Again, just quite a transformation over just a very short period of time and transitioning your revenues for a company that's been around for many decades now. I want to come back to your end markets, remind everyone sort of how you compete, where you address your products in flooring, automotive, apparel, and maybe the evolution of each one of these markets over the past year or so.
Well, Aquafil was born back in the 60s, and starting from this century, we started our process of internationalizing our production, manufacturing, and sales. So until 25 years ago, 100% or close to 100% of our revenues were in Europe. Now around 50 to 55% are in Europe, and the rest of them are between USA and Asia Pacific. Being USA around 30%. So, I mean, from 0 to 30%. Flooring is our most important area of sales. We are the largest nylon yarn company in the world, and we are servicing all the customers that are, in the commercial, automotive, also residential, but residential market is a tiny business for us, in particular in Oceania, little bit in Europe, zero or almost zero in United States. And we sell to all the biggest and most important carpet companies around the globe, whether they are based in Europe, USA, or Asia, in particular in Japan. The Japanese market is a very important market for us recently. When we speak of textile filament, on the contrary, we supply weaving or knitting companies. And this is mostly a European business. Apart when we sell ECONYL yarns that may go also to Asia, like Korea, China, Japan, for the most important textile companies, like, for example, Patagonia. So Patagonia is one of our biggest and most important customers when we speak about ECONYL into the apparel market. And of course, all the luxury companies like the Pradas, the Gucci's, the Stella McCartney's, and all these very famous brands who, when they want to adopt something which is sustainable, and they speak of synthetic fibers, they normally come to us and they use our ECONYL products. When we speak about polymer, it's something which is new. We were, operating in this market until 2013. Then we exited because we sold this business unit to a European company. But a couple of years ago, we decided to step back once all the lockup clauses expired. So now we have started again to act into the polymer market, whether we speak about the base polymer, which is more a commodity, or when we speak about engineering polymer, going, of course, for the molding industry in different forms. And again, we have started also our journey to introduce ECONYL in this final application.
Very good. I want to make sure that something doesn't get lost, especially for some of the folks that may not be familiar. You're headquartered in Europe, but you really have operations across the globe here, right? I mean, you're not only selling into these markets, but you have operations. I know you have a number of plants in the U.S. in particular. Just kind of walk through sort of your operations and then maybe as the local operations relate to any tariff impacts that you may experience in the U.S.
That's right, Robert. Yes, we are a global company, but we try to operate locally. So we produce in Europe for the European market. We produce in North America, in particular in Georgia, in our Cartersville operation for the American carpet market. And we produce in China for the Asia Pacific market. So we try to operate as a local company. This, of course, even before the problem of the tariffs, it was giving us an advantage in terms of service, so time to market, of course, lower logistical cost, and I mean, import duties, they were already existing also before the recent times. And clearly now, when we speak about the North American market, the impact for us is very limited and maybe even positive for certain final applications. While, of course, for our European or Asian customers, if the economy is not doing so well because of the uncertainty, in this case, we have an indirect impact of, let's say, a market demand which has been a little, unpredictable during the first 6 or 8 months of 2025.
All right, very good. I want to make sure that that got across there. Thank you for that. Talking about some strategies that are in place for growing the business. You guys have outlined an industrial plan which talks about volume increases and sort of the positioning and your expectations for revenue growth, margin expansion, EBITDA growth here. Talk a little bit for, again, those not familiar with the industrial plan and some of the plans that you have in place for expansion going forward.
Aquafil has been, hardly impacted by the COVID period because, our main business when we speak about carpet is corporate office business, which of course was strongly impacted by the so-called smart working and automotive. lower mileage because people not moving from home to the office, they were using their cars a bit less. But now finally we are seeing these markets recovering, or better, automotive in USA is recovering, but also because of the recent tariff system. Okay, while the corporate office business, in particular during 2025, is bringing something which is, how can I say, fresh air, fresh demand, projects that were previously, how can I say, frozen or put on hold are now finally coming back and giving us some, good prospects for the future, in particular in the US. So, of course, we tend and we will work hard to return to growing our volumes and in particular to grow our margins as we have demonstrated during the first 6 months of 2025. Why? Because we have been very, very careful of working at the cost level in order to reduce, and we are still working on in this part to keep reducing our operational cost, thus, of course, improving our margins. Of course, research and development keeps playing a very important role in our strategy because we don't want to compete with low prices or low-end applications, but we need to continuously, how can I say, developing new products, new applications, better features of our nylon yarns, and of course, keeping developing ECONYL in terms of technology and giving solutions to the market.
All right, very good. The financial results for the second quarter were released here at the end of August. Again, I think the markets were responded favorably, certainly to those results. Maybe expand upon just briefly a couple of the key highlights, the key takeaways from the most recent financial reports.
We've got a slight growth of our volumes and revenues, even if the comparison between last year and this year is a little difficult to make because part of the business when we sell polymers has been transformed to buying and selling into commission working for an important customer. So we have, of course, retained the margin, but the price has diminished, apparently, at least. But what is most important is that we have been able, through this cost optimization, keeping, of course, our selling price, let's say, relatively stable with our customers to improve our margins that has exceeded the 13, in reality has touched the 13.6% on our revenue. So we are, let's say, at the level where we want to be. Still, volumes have been very strong in the US market. This has been a good surprise starting from last spring, while Europe has been a little bit slower than what we expected. Asia, I would say, pretty stable, nothing very different. This is because, in particular, the Japanese market is giving us a lot of satisfactions recently. We have invested a lot to enter into the Japanese market and to grow our customer base in Japan. So it's been certainly not a period of quietness because of the uncertainty driven by the tariffs and the wars that unfortunately spread around the globe. But nevertheless, I believe that we have delivered some good results for our shareholders.
All right, fantastic. Maybe in the final minute or so that we have, talk about sort of the key highlights investors should be looking at going forward here, and really just the overall investment highlights of the business.
Well, of course, EBITDA, which is an important point for us. The ECONYL percentage on our sales, because normally our ECONYL products are bearing or having a better margin with respect to the, let's say, conventional petrochemical ones. And then, of course, the net financial position. In fact, we have finished our big round of investment around a couple of years ago. So now we are more in the consolidation phase, in the phase of, how can I say, let the new capacity, equipment, and technologies working properly. So we don't need to let's say, investing a huge amount of money for the present demand and the present market situation. So we are also targeting to decrease consistently our net financial position during the coming months and years. Then, of course, if the market, starts to give us some more positive, let's say, feedbacks, we will always be able to take every opportunity.
All right, fantastic. Well, Giulio, thanks so much for your time today and your participation in the conference. Thank you to everybody who is watching here today. Again, just a quick reminder to everyone, if you would like to schedule a meeting with management, you can send me an email. That's Blum, B-L-U-M, at Lytham Partners. Further, if you'd like to learn a little bit more about Lytham, you can visit our website. Or you can follow us on LinkedIn to make sure you can stay connected to future events such as this discussion here with Aquafil. So thank you to Giulio for his participation today. Thank you to everyone joining. We hope everyone has a great day and rest of the conference here.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you all.